Now it's time for the panel discussion. And moving ahead, I'd like to request moderator Mr. Sanjay Karkhanis, please come forward along with the panel members, Mr. Bipin, Jirge, Mr. Anand, Deshpande, Mr. VSR, Reddy, Mr. Prakash, Rathod. I'd like to request all these dignitaries, please step forward for the panel discussion.
Chandran is receiving the felicitation on behalf of Sri Shakti.
Wow, that's all I can say about last 2 days deliberations. First of all, congratulations to IF Western Region and IF Kolhapur chapter for conducting this wonderful seminar. Absolutely apt subject of transforming the industry. And particularly I would say special congratulations to IF Kolhapur chapter led by dynamic chairman Mr. Sachin Shirgaonkar, because he has chosen this very important topic of transforming the industry. Because what we normally talk about is entrepreneurs should be able to provide the leadership required for the industry, and the leadership can be either in the form of performance leadership or it can be in the form of business leadership. But more important today is providing the transforming leadership. So today we have got 4 panel members here, and let me admit frankly, I am the only learner in this. Okay, so I am in a student mode, and Mr. Bipin Jirge, he is from IFM Electronics India Limited. He is master of all this because he works in automation. Then Mr. Anand Deshpande, known for his transformative leadership in sound casting. Everybody knows how sound casting has been transformed. Then Mr. Reddy, just now we heard about him and deep insight into what leadership is required and what sort of approach is required for a particular change in our way to look at digital transformation. And of course, there is an innovative leader here, Prakash Rathod, who is using down-to-earth methods to transform his industry. So my first question to all, because most of us are SMEs and relatively small foundries are there in Kolhapur. So what would be the first few steps? Because this is a big leap when we talk about total transformation in digitalization. So what would be the first few steps? I would like to start with Mr. Anand Deshpande.
So thank you, Sanjay Karkhanis, for the kind introduction. So I guess probably the journey is different for different people, but I agree with what I think one of the speakers, Mr. Bhave, said. Probably it starts with communicating the message. So everything starts with communication. So especially I think if you are an MSME, the challenge is to get everybody on board. And normally, you know, the distribution, almost there will be 20% or so people who are enthusiastic, middle 70% are going to a little bit see which way the wind is blowing, and last 10% are probably going to unfortunately resist. So I think one has to always first spread the message and keep on reinforming the concept about digitalization. And paradoxically, in this whole digitalization journey, one of the very simplest tools that I have found extremely useful, and it is actually free of cost and can be used by everybody and probably is used by everybody, but should be used more for business and information, is probably, in my opinion, WhatsApp. So this is something that we are doing very vigorously, and probably there are no less than 100 WhatsApp groups in our company. Every section there is a WhatsApp group where people are posting the problems and they are also suggesting some solutions. And that has, I feel, really increased the velocity of business, that all the problems are immediately getting highlighted and everybody can contribute. And this, in my opinion, free but extremely powerful tool has really changed the way we are communicating. No longer that concept that we are sending emails to each other. And also now, of course, we have these extended networks with so many suppliers also and customers also. So again, coming back to my original message that everything starts with communication. So my suggestion to everybody here is that please see how you can communicate the concept of digitalization to your people, and probably starting with some very, very low cost tools.
Okay. I would like the other panel members to also express their opinion. What can be major hurdles when we go ahead with digital transformation? Because we may not, some hurdles may be totally unforeseen. So maybe those people who have done this, and Mr. Jirge is a master of automation, so he must be having much better insight into this.
Thank you very much. I think I was listening to the last two presentations, and Bhavesh sir talked about, say, acceptance of the change and something like that, people related. What I see is, it is the first step, what Deshpande sir also took. One has to convince our own people, to team member, to accept the digitalization. Another thing is, the technical part is, and this, I get the information from not my knowledge, but worldwide, because my company is operating in 70 countries, mostly industrialized countries. See, 50% of the downtime, which is talked about by many people here, stop losses, you get a good amount of money. Yeah? Reddy have also talked about very, very, valuable information. What we have observed across the industry, especially engineering industries, 50% of the losses can be prevented by predicting only 2 parameters of some machines. Yeah? This is very simple. I was also a Greek, I was not known to this. Last 5 years, this is known to the industry. 50% of the machine downtime is predictable by measuring only 2 parameters of the machine. One is temperature, second is vibration. Yeah? Very simple things. If you are able to predict something like this on many of the key machines, you can predict the downtime and most probably prevent it. That gives a straight benefit to the bottom line, because bank interests don't wait for this downtime. They will charge us every month. Whether your machine is running or not, you have to pay interest and whatnot. So start with very simple things on key machines and people will get convinced. Start measuring something of these 2 parameters across the timeline, every shift. You will notice the trend, and then, like Reddy said, find the best ones and the worst ones. You will improve drastically. I have seen this happening in India. In fact, to name, Bhavesh sir should have been here. The first SMS in Bharat Forge FMD2, that the temperature of the press column was getting higher, was done with my team and their team some 7-8 years back. That's when they started digitalizing. Yeah, we are on the journey, and I would love to see something starting here in Kolhapur in that direction. There's a lot of money lying around. We have to just collect it by preventing losses. Thank you.
My next question is to Mr. Reddy. Just taking a cue from this, how TPM can be connected to digitalization?
Before TPM, I would like to add a couple of points. Actually, digitalization is not very big, but the thought is very big. We have to break this hurdle first. The second thing is, day in, day out, whether it is he is educated or uneducated, he is embedded in the digitization. Everybody is able to do UPI transactions. Newborn baby, even they doesn't know alphabets, but they know how to operate mobile phones, right? So it's already embedded in our lifestyle, actually. One of the key thing for a MSME or big foundries or small foundries, whatever is there, is allow the people to do the work. Because we do a lot of digital activities outside the foundry. We don't allow them to do it inside the foundry, actually. So if you start thinking in a very systematic manner, for this, one of the key thing, if you are able to bring the team, your job is done. So get the young team, allow them to do it. And as per my experience, even I built 2 companies, apart from Synergy earlier in L&T also we built. We never hired an employee more than 30 years or 35 years. In Synergy, average years is, till today is 30 years actually, because you really don't require 25 years of experience to produce a casting. So 3-5 years is more than sufficient actually. Even one of the girl is here actually, she's from KIT, just she's having 2 years experience. Without any assistance, she can produce 2010 casting without flawless defect. That is the kind of, so just I'm trying to give a message that this is a myth that I need big experience, 20-30. You don't require it. The same thing for the digitization. You bring young team, they're easily available. They're already coming with that knowledge and allow them to. Coming back to your point on the TPM. See, TPM is only a small part of the whole journey actually, You don't restrict yourself to one concept, whether it is a lean, TPM, Six Sigma. Generally, all speak the same thing actually, It's about the efficiency, optimization, and all those kind of things. Just go ahead and look at what is troubling you, and accordingly you need to go and choose the tool and try to implement the solution. This is my advice actually.
One of the first question to Prakash sir. Basically, digitization and digitalization, how they depend on each other?
Digitization is converting all the documents into electronic form and storing it somewhere and sharing it with somewhere. And digitalization is putting this into machines, technology, and getting the output. There was always a question in this 2-day session where somebody needs to start a digitalization. So I have the answer to that. We have recently decided to build up a new ERP, which will be going to be implemented from 1st of April 2023. We have 6 months in hand, and we daily have a meeting on that. But this time I decided, not many times you use a ERP, but to get some information, you need to put some information, then you get some information. But I would like my ERP to automatically give me the information. Suppose a new inquiry comes and my new business division puts in that inquiry, then somebody will get a trigger, that this is the inquiry which is coming from somebody, it is an existing customer or the new customer, whether it is an immediate award of business or whether it is projected award of business, and how much is the value of business. Then on that inquiry, many things will be going on. Negotiation will go on, business awarding will go on, sample production will go on, production start will go on. So I think we are trying to build a ERP where most of the things will be automatically communicated to the respective officers of the executive. For example, if in some case there is a rejection which is more than 3%, which is our target minimum, then the quality control manager and the chief technology manager will get a trigger कि there is some case, this is the part, this is the parameter where the rejection is gone above 3%. He need not have to act on that. Somebody will act on that. Then whenever there is an action taken on that, 8D or CAPA is done, after that, that document of corrective action will again go to that officer. If he is satisfied, then it's okay. If he is not satisfied, then he will intervene in that. So this is the way we are creating a lot of automated scenarios where we will be able to cut down the communication physical or through electronics actually. This is the start we are trying to do. And from there on, whatever the success we get, we will be building up a people competency. We are trying to build up a software team also. We don't want to be dependent on any software company. We have already started floating advertising to build a software team. So as per my company, I have decided to start from here. And I think next up to 2024, which is our vision year, we have done a roadmap on which way we are going through digitization.
Actually, a few days back, I was reading about digitalization, and I saw a very good quote. It says it doesn't make a difference between big or small. Now with digitalization, it makes a difference between fast and slow. So with that in mind, everybody of us knows that we need to change. We need to transform our businesses. My question to all 4 of them, they can have different opinions about it. What will be your advice as a budget as a percentage of your turnover or maybe percentage of your profit on digitalization in future? Because SMEs actually they get scared of the word of digitalization because possibly maybe because of big expense. I think we'll start from you, Mr. Jirge.
This is a very interesting question. I hear this question and try to find out answers across Indian MSMEs for last 10 years. Yeah, because see, the Tatas and Mahindras and all those big companies have big capital, big skilled manpower, and they're on the journey since last 5-10 years. But MSMEs and SMEs, if you ask them what you need to do and what is your budget, the answer what I got for last 10 years is, especially for, a machine shop, one machine, they say, if I got a small machine, I should know the predictive cause of the, say, failure of the machine in 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees. That's all. MSME and SME, they gave me the budget of this figure. And this is very challenging. All that big talk of AI, ML, we have to forget and solve that simple thing with this money only. And that is the budget what I heard from SMEs and MSMEs.
My thinking is that it's a little difficult to put a rupee figure or a percentage figure. But my only suggestion is that whenever you buy any new equipment, for example, it's always better to make sure that you buy it with SCADA and the latest technologies, things like that. And like some of the speakers said earlier, the cost of technology is surely coming down. So for example, the foundry we set up probably 12 years ago, we did not have the budget left over to add SCADA to it. But the foundry that we set up 6 months ago, I mean, SCADA was part and parcel of it. Because the simple fact that the technology cost has really come down. And if you have these basic building blocks in place, like the SCADA, and like some of these chips that are inbuilt in the controller, then you can probably add on that next layer of communication as per your needs and as per your budgets. But if you buy the equipments without some of these blocks, then later on to upgrade becomes double expensive, because then that time these people charge you the spares cost, not the OEM cost. So depending on where you are, it's always better to buy the machine with, I would say, the kind of the latest controllers and communication networks.
Now, one experience or maybe your insight. Basically, when you start talking about digital transformation, first you gather data and then start publishing the data across the team. Then obviously some deficiencies keep on coming out. This scares some of the team members, isn't it? So how do you take care of that? Because since you must have experienced this, I would like to ask this question specifically to you.
See, issue is not about the chaos or anything actually. No? It is like a sportsman. When you enter the field, you have only one objective to goal, right? There will be a lot of hurdles. Even same thing with the data when you enter it. In fact, I wanted to answer your previous question also about the budget. Just I wanted to add one small point. According to me, the cost of digitization is zero. This is my belief. Okay. The reason is you keep a separate account for what digitization you're doing. I'm very sure the foundry, even the smallest of the lowest of the foundry, will have some digital tools in his house. Okay. Just thinking in it, implementing it, you generate funds, keep it separately. That itself will be self-funding to complete your digitization for next 10 years, actually. This is what I've done. And it can invest any kind of money. The second question which you asked about is the chaos. It's not about the chaos. It's about the eagerness to solve the problem, actually. You need data. So once the digitization is there, you got more data with you, and you will make a better quality decision. This is how I look at, actually. And the second thing is, issue is not about, I need not look at every single data generated in the organization. My interest is to solve my problems. It's not about data. Data is only helping me to solve my problem, right? So data is everywhere. So my team will look at if data is useful, I will take it and make a decision. If it is not useful, I look other way to collect the data and make the right decision, actually, So there is no question of data creating a chaos for you, actually, So if you don't have a right data to make the decision, then you need to look at alternatively, what is the right data for you to make the right decision. This is how I look at it.
Yes. And one more question to you, because you said in your presentation that always look at the spikes.
Yes.
When you look at the spikes and discuss with your team, how eager should be the team for a change management?
See, the biggest challenge what I saw in the team is lack of knowledge. Means they are not aware of there are spikes. This is the biggest thing, actually, because it just get ignored. Even we ourselves classify our own expenses we spend in a family or anything. The day you realize after 1 year, this much X amount I spent for this particular cause. The same thing in the organization. If you look at various causes where there are leakages, actually, that will be surprising thing for you, actually. Every day they are doing those things, but they're not thinking. So it's not the surprise. The big difference between yesterday and today is we were doing the same things. There were leakages, but they were never compiled and analyzed. Today, what we are trying to do digitization is compile and analyze. The day say there are hundreds of causes happening for the leakages, but for sure, for every single organization, there will be only 3 or 4 ABC principle, we call it, right? 70-80% of your leakages must be happening with 2 or 3 causes. For sure, I cannot solve 100 problems, but definitely I can solve 3 or 4 problems, right? So I pick up 3-4 problems, and I'm very sure you go to casual labor or a supervisor, anybody, everybody is capable of giving solutions. Issue is he's not put to thought, actually. You go and place him. In fact, I'm not an expert. If I go and ask him, my melting operator or anybody, he has got wonderful ideas about his own process, because how much time I have spent in melting in my life. So this is how I look at it, actually.
Okay, very nice. Well, Prakash, you may be answering many of the earlier questions, but apart from that, I would like to throw one idea, one question to you, because I have seen you are having continuous new ideas. Okay, before the first project is over, you are talking about 2 more projects. So how do you keep the team also going at the same pace? I would like to know, because in digital transformation, this is one of the very important things, that our whole team is aligned and going at the same pace.
Okay. I think many a times as a management or as an owner, we only keep on talking big things, actually, but we don't take that amount of efforts to execute it. We want to do something, as I told you, we want to build a good automated ERP. But my budget is so limited that I cannot make an automated ERP, actually. So that is one of the discouraging, I think, factor for my employees. But I can say that recently I converted one of my manufacturing line into a robotic line. We had a customer from Germany. He had a very bad experience in last 2-3 years with 2-3 Indian suppliers, and they almost have decided not to deal with any of the Indian supplier. But our Frankfurt office had a communication with them, and they had a talk to me. But they will do business with us, but there was one condition, they will be require 100% inspection of 3 important parameters of their component, which should be mailed to them. I think that the quantity was around 2,000 to 3,000, and it was very difficult to do this manually, actually. So we decided we will convert 2 of our machine lines into robotization. The robot will do the production pick and place, and we had an investment into a gauging station also. The robot will pick and place from the machine, put the component on the gauging station. The gauge station will measure the size, record it on the server. If there is any correction to be made in the machine, there is one more system connected to that will again do the correction in the machine, and the system will run on without human intervention, actually. So this is the way we invested, and we were able to provide them the data 100%, but also we were able to get an experience of robotization and robot doing the quality control and inspection also. Earlier question was that how much should be the investment in digitalization? In this system, I invested 21 lakh rupees, plus inspection gauging was 24 lakhs, that was 25 lakhs rupees. My team is sitting behind. I told them to calculate the ROI. That robot will be doing a work of 6 people. 2 machines, 2 person on one shift, that is equal to in 3 shifts together, 6 people. The ROI was 2 years, 9 months actually. So I think instead of we looking at how much will the budget will be, I think we should concentrate on what are the intangible benefits and how much is going to be the return on investment also. Because you don't know, you can't decide a budget and dream about big things actually. Your budgeting should be equivalent to what you are dreaming about actually.
Okay, just now what he talked about is multiplying the productivity a number of times, and then obviously the robot doing a job in place of people. So doesn't it scare the people? Loss of jobs, or is it, we have to focus on the other side of the coin, that is the increase in opportunities?
Well, my own experiences in robotics are related to using robots for, I would say, dirty, demanding, dangerous work. And many such works are there in foundry. For example, in one of our aluminum casting units, we have robots for spraying the die. And die casting die is very hot. It has a temperature of 250 or 300 degrees Celsius. And also for extracting the casting, which is also reasonably hot when the die opens. So that's the kind of work which actually today anybody will say it's a no-brainer. But I know still there are many machines which are running even the manual way. So those are, I think, very easy to sell because anyhow nobody wants to work there. Or we talked about fettling. So in one of our units, the robot is doing the work of fettling, and nobody would really like to do that job, right? So it's always better to start first with such kind of what you may call 3D jobs. And then as your organization matures, of course, you should graduate to some of the more higher skilled jobs. So my own opinion is, frankly, the opportunities are increasing. We talked about that. Our next competitor is 4 times bigger than us, China. So in that sense, the opportunities are limitless. So I personally don't think we are going to have a situation of mass unemployment or anything because we are an emerging country, right? So the jobs will come to us, especially in industries like foundry and forging and these kind of things. And rather the use of robotics and digitization is hopefully going to prolong the life of our workforce. That's my take.
See, this is a very famous question. When we digitalize, what will happen to human jobs? Yeah, this is very old question. We still remember when I was a kid, we used to have long queues to book the ticket on the railways. Yeah, and we used to have long queues in the banks also. Now, picture is totally different. Nobody goes to bank, but I don't see that there's a big job losses because of digitalization. The skill level of the job has shifted somewhere else. Yeah, so and that overall has increased the knowledge and the productivity of the whole strata who are fearing about the job losses. And in all the industries where automation and digitalization has taken place, I have seen actually the skill level of lot of existing employees have gone up. And of course, the productivity has gone up. So job losses is, I think, it's a fear, but it is short-lived. It really doesn't exist in that sense.
One more question to you again. When we talk about this digital transformation, many people are scared of it, and that's why they say, no, kuch der raah dekhenge, baad mein dekhenge. So what exactly they are trying to avoid to look at? Basically, what is the, like somebody said, that when I started digitizing the data, what I saw, whatever I was seeing, 80% was actually 30%. So from your experience, what are the inefficiency percentage like?
See, I don't want to name the companies here. I was in one of such seminars where people are talking about OEE, yeah, a very well-known term, OEE. And I asked, what is your OEE? Fairly mid-sized company. He says 95%. Yeah? I got a shock of my life because Toyota documentation says they have 62%. So first of all, we have to really check our own perceptions, what we measure. And I have also seen by measuring simple things, like, you know, like what I mentioned, 2 things on a machine, if you measure, 50% of the downtime is done. And when I asked a simple thing, what is your productivity of the machine? How much is the spindle on time on a typical machine on time? How much is the spindle on time? I got an answer more than 80-90%. I said, how do you measure it? And then the real, you know, thinking starts. How do I measure it? Can you show how it is measured? The real, you know, average time is much less than that. So the thing is, you have to really take the person into confidence, make sure that even if the data is not correct what he is telling, promise him that he is not going to be hanged. Let us do it together. Yeah? Data tells the truth in a blunt way on the table. So there are mistakes happened. The data, what we perceive is totally wrong many times. We have to assure the person that, well, it is your perception. If it is wrong, don't be afraid, we will do it better together. This assurance from the top has to be very, very important.
What you're saying is basically taking people into confidence.
Yes.
So from this point of view, is it not important to share with the core team or maybe even larger team into this particular, because this is a mission. We are going to transform our company but through digitalization and taking them into confidence and show them the long-term picture, how our company will be, how your lives will be, isn't it?
I agree with what Mr. Jirge said, and you know, we are talking right now about people down the line, but in my opinion, everything starts at the top, right? So a lot of speakers talked about ERP, and that's kind of the foundational block for a lot of the, at least the office processes. And then if you really think about it, when you are doing that earlier paper-based system, let's be honest, you can always, I hate to use the word, you can always fudge the system a little bit, right? Whereas when you are doing ERP, necessarily every person, every department will be doing the entries. So in some ways, the owner or the director or the management is kind of accepting the fact that they are really not going to manipulate the system in any way. They are going to let the operating people fill in the data, whether it is the accounting data or whether it is the rejection data, which should be actually filled by the inspectors, not by the manager. So a big part of it is also in some ways giving up, I would say, the control or at least the authority to make any unauthorized changes in the system. And on the quality front, in one of our units, one of our customers, they have asked us to go ahead with a digital quality management system, what they call DQMS. So every time a component is checked, the operator presses the button and that data gets logged into that customer's server. And that customer's SQ engineer gets a message along with our person anytime a single product is out of spec. So you have to be ready for a whole lot of transparency, which was not there in the earlier system. Or when you are digitizing all the casting 3D data, you really cannot go back and change something selectively. So whatever you see is going to be open to everybody, whether it is your workers, your management, or also sometimes your customers and auditors. And we just have to also get over that mental barrier. But once we get over that, I think the journey later on is easy.
Regarding this job loss, actually, like a company like Synergy, today we have 100 fetless. We are thinking of robotizing. I cannot imagine next 10 years, I'll be able to make 0 fetless for sure, right? Because the extent of automation, what we can do, it is 10%, 20%, 30%. A country like India, there is a big growth opportunity. In fact, we'll be adding more people, may not be in the same proportion. This is the first part of it. And the second thing is, artificially, we cannot stop disruption. See, if you want to just protect the jobs, you don't want to transform, you yourself will get disrupted. So it is very important to travel this journey of disruption. And I'm sure the kind of growth, whatever is going, it has not happened to any industry, So like, as Mr. Sanjay has told, that this is the fear, when you do the digitization automation, there is a lot of jobs. Such kind of things have not happened. There will be few, 5%, 10%. That's even without that also you are likely to lose job, So focus on your task to do the digitization, nothing is going to happen. Focus on growth, that is another fundamental thing. You can employ more and more people in spite of automation, actually. So for example, with 100 people who are able to do 2,500 tons, I believe tomorrow 5,000 tons will be done with the same 100 people or 200 people, actually. This is how we should look at it.
I'm coming to the last question, and last question is to all four of you. Day for yesterday, I was talking with one of the dignitaries, and he said, Industry 4, there are more cases of failure than success. So there must be some mistakes people will be making, because Industry 4, if applied properly, it definitely turns into success. But why there are more cases of failure? So what is that one mistake one should try to avoid? That each one of you can add one each.
I tried to do this many times, but still then I have not started it again actually. Because when you talk about Industry 4.0, it is a combination of lot of hardware, lot of software, lot of server data, and lot of Wi-Fi systems actually. So before going through Industry 4.0, somebody needs to understand whether you have a team who is capable of handling that Industry 4.0 capabilities, the hardware, the software, and the data analysis actually. You can't start Industry 4.0 and then keep on building up a team. You have to do it before it is implemented. And again, it also includes a lot of sensors, which gives the information to the server about temperature, about vibration. There is also the TPM which is involved actually. So, and especially in a place like Kolhapur where the IT persons are very lowly available, they always move towards Hyderabad, Bangalore, Pune. Even though we recruit a fresh one, when he gets churned, there are always a chances of he leaving Kolhapur. So I think the main hurdles are the software, hardware, and that combination. And secondly, the manpower which is available in a small town like Kolhapur.
See, according to me, we should not blame Industry 4.0 for failure. It never fails. System never fails. Only the problem is people are not ready to accept they have not done it properly actually. This is a very common question used to come. Early phase, people used to implement simulation software in the foundries. Simply make a statement, ये मेरा foundry में काम नहीं करता है. Because he is not ready to spell out, but I don't have enough knowledge to use it properly. He will say other way around, मेरे पास simulation काम नहीं करता है. The same way, the Industry 4.0 also, see, it all depends on how did you implement. If there is some failure, there will be failures in every single thing. You go and look back, you fix it, that's all. There is no point in blaming the system actually,
I think one more kind of failure mode, I should say, I have seen in the use of technology, including digitalization, is that sometimes, and especially in India, we want to continue the old system as well as the new system. So for some reason, we don't want to stop the old system. So it's like kind of a couple of years ago when my daughter was applying for these college admissions, they said, okay, the admission is going to be online. Okay, say, great, you fill this form. So we went there and we filled, and then we saw where is the submit button. There was no submit button, right? There was only print button. So that means you print out what you have filled, and then you take a Xerox in quadruplicated or whatever and submit it. So it's really not online. The form is online, but the submission is not online. Again, you have to go to that clerk or whoever and submit. So it's kind of like that. When we do the digitization, like even in our company, we have some 50, 60 machines, right, which are connected to the server and they track the OE and all these things. But then some of our and then we are having this app on the mobile. But then some of the managers will say, no, I don't have time to go there. Let somebody again download that and send me an email every day. So somewhere that mindset that we should stop the old system, then only we will respect the old system. Also, I think is one of the reasons why sometimes Industry 4 doesn't take up, but then for that we only are responsible. We have to tell that like stop the old way, start the new way.
See, this is also a very interesting question. Why Industry 4 fails? First of all, Industry 4 is not a yes or no. It's a journey. It's a journey. And most of the reasons why I have seen across the industries, right from big automotive OEMs to SMEs, they struggle a lot. I would say it's not a failure actually, they struggle. Yeah, the struggle is mainly because of they start not with the simplest solution. But they start somewhere middle, where you are lack of capital and skilled manpower. So I would say, and we have done it some 10 years back in one of the excellent foundries in Housepet area. They wanted to start Industry 4. And when everybody started talking, it is 7, 8 years back, I said, don't talk about Industry 4. We start about which are the 4 motors which trouble you the most, which creates the downtime. Yeah. Then he said, yes, I have 10 motors trouble, and they get warm, and then we get breakdown. I said, we start with a system where you install 2 motors with 2 sensors and some box, where if the motor becomes warm enough or hot enough, you get a SMS and you get a trend on the app. That's where they started 7, 8 years back. And the system was liked very much by the people. And now if you go, the big chunk of this is completely documented on the SCADA. The start of the journey was the very simple one, non-threatening, non-demanding. Yeah, non-demanding. It didn't demand much skill. Yeah. So they said, oh, ye to itna easy hai. I don't need to learn so many things. It's a journey. But then they got habitualized into looking into mobile, the trend of the motor graph or temperature. And that's how. So enter into the simplest thing which the people will first buy in. Very easy to implement. Less budget is required so that owners are also, buying in. If I go to a company, वो 3 crore पे चालू होता है, Industry 4 बोलेगा सोचेगा यार अगले साल. Yeah. So this is start very small and simple, so that people buy in, and then it's a journey. Yeah. That's where I see the most difficulties are solved.
Thank you, everybody. I think we are running out of time. But one thing I must say, that with this panel discussion, a lot of confidence will be generated amongst all of us, that those who do not understand much about digitization and digitalization, there are people whom we can approach. We can try to understand what is digitalization. And definitely, whatever efforts have been taken by IF Kolhapur chapter in organizing this excellent seminar, it will be useful if and only if tomorrow morning we go at our table and start thinking about what is that one pain area where I am going to address, what is the problem, what is the root cause, and what is that parameter which is causing, what is the, from point of cause, what is the root cause, and what is the counteraction parameter. That counteraction parameter, if that is put under control through digitization, definitely our journey will begin. All the best to all the participants, and I'm concluding the panel discussion here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All the dignitaries on the dais are requested to remain on the dais. So here, as Sir has concluded our panel discussion here, now it's time to felicitate all the panel members. I request moderator Mr. Sanjay Karkhanis to felicitate our panel member Mr. Bipin Jirge. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Bipin Jirge? Once again, I'd like to request Mr. Sanjay Karkhanis to felicitate Mr. Anand Deshpande. A loud applause for Mr. Anand Deshpande. Next up, I'd like to request once again moderator Mr. Sanjay Karkhanis to felicitate Mr. VSR Reddy. Can we have a round of applause? And the last but not least, I'd like to request Mr. Sanjay Karkhanis to felicitate Mr. Prakash Rathod. Thank you so much, gentlemen.